And we are live from the cabin, my friends. I'm happy to say that we are in the cabin, and hopefully, if all goes well, we are broadcasting live right from the cabin tonight. And I thought it appropriate in this sort of strange wooded place that tonight I'm going to share a sort of personal story that began some time ago. And I'm calling this the strange case of Sarah Adams. For those who are not familiar with her, she sort of came on my radar some time ago, but then came back onto my radar due to the death of conspiracy theorist Max Spears, because she was his, I believe she was his, significant other, his girlfriend. So I sort of started looking into her again because of the whole situation with Max Spears. And let me turn my attention to live chat. I also want to mention that tonight is the first night where we are attempting, at least, I'm not sure how well it's going to work, to simulcast to both YouTube and my Facebook profile page. Um, I just checked. It looks like we're live on both. But there is a lag and a time delay, apparently, for the Facebook. I'm not sure why that is, but it looks like our usual YouTube situation is stable and working. If there is issues, please, like if there's lag, please do let me know. And I see, I'm going to give some shout outs to, we have Brandon Young is here. Shout out to Brandon Young and Dan Hogan. We have Jeff, Jonaside, and Out of Mind, Lee Veltman. Shout out to all you guys. I'm happy that you could be here to help me test this first broadcast from the cabin. And I got to tell you, I just had this come up in my memories on Facebook. There was a picture of like the walls in here halfway up and the windows just like glued into the walls. And so what a difference a year makes, because a year ago I was still building these cordwood walls and trying to make this into some kind of a new cabin room. And now here we are. Let's see here. We have some comments from our live chat, but I want to get back to this is the strange case of Sarah Adams. And some people call her Sarah R. Adams. Her website is sararadams.com. For those that are unfamiliar with her, she is self-described. She describes herself as an intuitive healer. And so I started watching her, I don't want to call them performances. That would be not fair to her. I started watching her broadcasts, her talks, her material, again around the time of Max Spears' death, because quite honestly, I was just curious about Max Spears, and honestly, I was curious who his girlfriend was. I heard they were like the power conspiracy couple. And so I got to learn a lesson about, I've always heard this term from people, this term, what they talk about resonates with me. And so I found a few of her videos while I was already working on this thing called the Mind Hack Project. And in that, I was talking about connection to source and connection to divine energy. It's my belief that the greater your connection to source or God or divine energy, the greater your own capabilities become. And she was talking about something incredibly similar, which is to, avoid drugs, avoid alcohol, so that you can have as much God energy pulsing through you as possible. And she talks about this connection that we all have, very similar to my, it's not my idea, but it was an idea that I was running with this mind hack project. So this resonated with me, and I wanted to hear more about what she talked about. But quite honestly, like many people, I always say this: pick a lane, right? Are you a light worker? Are you a psychic? Are you a channeler? Are you a healer? Are you an intuitive empath? I don't know. Pick a lane. And it seemed with her that she doesn't really pick a lane. She's very interesting and sort of like she's all of those things. So I needed new material and new show guests. I was really intent that I didn't want to just let's get the midnight hour show guests and run them all again on this new show. So I reached out to her and a few other people, and much to my surprise, because I've heard that she is very difficult to get access to. Told she's very busy. I reached out to a friend recently who's in California. He lives in Sacramento, and he's very plugged into, I don't even know how to describe it, like the new age crystal buying kind of people, spirituality, new age people there. And he told me that she's one of the most in demand light workers, psychic healers, whatever you want to call her in California. And that if you called her today to get an appointment or a session, it might be months before she could fit you in. That's how busy this girl is. And some would say that's how successful she is. Now, she makes a lot of claims, however, that I have huge problems with. And I'm going to go to my Twitter. I'm not going to share this, but I posted sort of a teaser graphic for this thing I'm calling The Strange Case of Sarah Adams. And in it, I asked some questions. And here are the questions. What's the deal with Sarah Adams? Oh, you know what? I can share this. I'm going to share this. 1 second. So I'm just going to share this. Oh, that didn't work. 1 second. Oh, there we go. You guys are going to have to excuse some things which may be an issue for me sometimes. Okay, where's my Twitter? There we go. We're just going to share this. So, what's the deal with Sarah Adams? We investigate her claims and her powers. You know, she basically claims to have superpowers. That's the easiest way that I could break it down for you. And so I asked these questions based on her own sort of claims of things that she does for her clients. So I asked, can she really repair your DNA? Can she repair your aura, help you connect with God, help you recover from trauma? Can she really read minds? And another claim that I've heard her talk about is this sort of star seed. I'm not from here. I am not of this earth. So is she an alien? Is she an alien hybrid? Is she what people would call a star seed? And these are the questions that I had that, to me, I wanted to hear her. I wanted to explore her making these claims and how valid are her claims. And much to my surprise, she returned messages to me. And I got to tell you also, if people don't know my history, I sort of make it, it was a hobby, I guess, for a while, that I would go see every psychic, every medium that I could find, or somebody would tell me about one. And having a background in stage magic, I did a mentalism show for a while. For those that don't know, a mentalism show is kind of like a psychic show, but everybody knows that the person is a magician. They're pretending. But mentalists will do things like hypnosis, mind control, bending metal. I've done a show that was centered around being that kind of a character. I can spot the trickery that most fake psychics use a mile away. So I would go visit these psychics, try to find a genuine one. For my entire life, I'd wanted to find somebody that claimed they had supernatural abilities that was real. Folks, I've seen hundreds, talked to hundreds of psychics, had readings from psychics. My wife and I used to go together and even work together to try to bust them and see if they were, frauds. And my wife was very familiar, having been my stage partner, also with all the trickery involved. And even she could pick it out without me even helping. Most of the time, these fake psychics use a few common techniques. They use magic tricks to convince people that they can read their minds. They use cold reading. And most of these psychics, when you really press them for proof of their claims of their abilities, will shrivel up and say, you're just not a believer. Nothing will convince you. They have a defense mechanism. But Miss Adams, to her credit, I think that she knew, because we have some friends in common, of my rather skeptical attitude towards psychics and people that claim to have supernatural powers or abilities. So she said, I'd be happy to call you and give you, a session at no cost, and I'll be able to manipulate some things, and you'll walk away, and you'll know that I'm genuine. Now, this, my friends, is too good to be true for somebody like me. So I said, yeah, So last night, it was late last night, she called me, and she ran me through a lot of different things in this session. I don't even know how to describe it, but basically in this session, she told me that she was repairing my aura, aligning my chakras, removing bad energy. And one of the things that I found most strange was that she was telling me, I want you to think about all the trauma in your life, everything that's ever been painful since your childhood, every time somebody's hurt you, every time you were sad, every time you were in pain or suffering, and imagine it going in this big black bubble. And okay, now I'm going to take the bubble and fly it to the sun, and it's gone. It's incinerated. All your past traumas are gone. And that seemed a little strange to me, that she could claim that she could remove people's trauma that quickly. And it was very uncomfortable at first. The beginning of this session, that's kind of where this session started. And I have to say, I wanted to record this, but I was shy about asking her to record this session because I don't know her well enough, and I wanted to build her trust and genuinely find out if she was real or a fraud like most other fake psychics. So I didn't either record it without asking her, because I thought that would be a violation of trust, and I didn't ask her to. But someone reminded me that she did a very similar session that she did for me when she was on another show, another person's show. And I found that, and we are going to cite fair use, and this is from her appearance and interview on the Kevin Moore show. And I have it queued up, so let me see if I can't. We're going to share that screen. Now, I have to say that there were some distinct differences between the session that she did for him and the session that she did for me. Most specifically, and of most importance, is that the beginning, when she started the session with me, was much longer. When we're going to show this Kevin Moore clip, she just tells him, I'm going to work on your energy or something like that. I need you to close your eyes. And then she pretty much goes right into a similar session that she did for me. The difference is, in my session, this was a little more drawn out. Close your eyes, clear your mind, make your mind a blank slate, try to focus on my voice. And something about that seems very familiar to me, the way that she was, I don't want to say setting me up, the way that she was preparing me for this experience seemed very familiar to me, but it didn't catch it because I was really intent on having an open mind and experiencing whatever she could show me. So when I play this clip for Kevin Moore from Kevin Moore's show, just please keep in mind that my start of my session was a much longer setup. This may become important later, and we'll see why. But we're going to share screen. And let's see if we could get over here. And I have to remember share audio. And here we go. And I have this time stamped right to where I want it. So, and I'm going to cite, I don't know Kevin Moore, but we have friends in common. And, I think that he'll agree with my saying that this is transformative work. I'm going to say fair use, fair use, fair use. We're going to be discussing this reading she's given Kevin Moore, especially in how it relates to the very similar reading or session that I got from her. So let's take a listen.
It makes it even worse down the road somewhere, but it's double as much.
I know.
Right. What is the most important message of your work?
It would be to remind people of how powerful they are, how divine they are, that, no matter what color, what race, what ethnicity, what sexual orientation, and I'm probably going to get just slammed for that one, that they're all a part of God and they all have God within them. And no matter what suffering they're going through, they can just silence their minds and go within, start connecting to their souls. There's all the solutions and all the healing there. I want to remind humanity of their power and of their souls. That's what I want to do. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a leader. I'm just somebody saying, remember who you are, because you're much more than you think you are. You're in a thought prison that diminishes you. Get rid of that. Become whole again and happy. Rise up and stand up. Everybody needs to do that. Okay, so what I can do is I can start by doing some energy work on you if you want.
Absolutely.
It's so you would have to shut your eyes and yes, clear your mind. And you will usually feel tingling, warmth, or something else, as energy affects the body on every single level, every cell that there is. I'm just going to work on your chakra system. Please do let me know when you feel it.
When I
feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a pulsing a little bit.
Yes.
God, that's weird.
So I'm going to actually bring your frequency up so that during this conversation,
it's
we
pulsing
can
more. It's
interact
pulsing much more.
Yes.
There's part of me that thinks, do I want this, or is this in my imagination? But I've never felt that before. Wow.
So I'm just bringing you up in frequency.
Good God. Mm, mm.
Your aura is changing colors.
Wow.
How are you feeling?
Wow. Yeah. Well, the pulsing, that was amazing. That was amazing. Is that answering your question? I don't know.
I obviously can feel what you feel. Whenever we tune ourselves to a higher frequency,
Sorry, folks. 1 second. Oh, come on. There we go. I should have clipped that. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go back to the share screen. Gotta have a crystal. Okay, folks, we're going to stop it there. Now, I do have to say that regardless of what I think about Kevin Moore, it's kind of important just to note that I don't know what to say about Kevin Moore, except that I'm sure he's more of a woo believer than me, despite all of his sort of, Bob Lazar's a fraud and Crazy Cassidy and, Mark Richards, which I agree with him on. But, he's got a channeling website. He's at all the New Age Expo things, and he's a little bit more of a believer. In my case, the beginning was much longer. She did a whole sort of getting me ready for this experience that I was going to have. And one of the things that she told me in private messages before the phone call was that she could make my heart go faster. And she could give me chills and make me feel pins and needles and things like this. So after the initial, like, okay, we're gonna get rid of all your trauma, I was feeling pretty skeptical. And then she started telling me that she was going to work on my aura. And this is something that I kind of had a problem with, because I don't know that I believe in auras. Okay, you're going to work on my aura. How can I tell that you're working on my aura? I don't know. Okay, you're working on my aura, lady. Okay. And but I did have this weird sensation start right after she said that she was, sending all my trauma in that black magic bubble into the sun. I had this feeling that everything became lighter, but I didn't want to let on to her because she kept saying, you might start feeling a little strange. And I mean, it was like a mantra. You might feel a little strange. It's okay. Just focus on my voice. I want you to relax. Don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. You might start to feel a little strange. She kept saying that. You might start to feel a little strange. So, yeah, I started to feel a little strange. She's working on my aura. Then she tells me that she was working on my chakras, aligning my chakras, which is, again, something that I can't prove or disprove, that she's working on my chakras. But when she was saying this, she said, it's going to take a little more work. You're very out of alignment. Your chakras are very skewed and out of line. I started feeling like a tenseness in my back and shoulders, and then in other parts of my body. And again, I did not let on, because I was concerned that she was cold reading. And if somebody is cold reading, they'll say, do you feel that? Do you feel that sensation? And if you say yes, then they go, yeah, that's me doing that. Or, I was kind of straight-faced during this situation. And then that's when things got crazier and crazier. I'm going to just pop up some of these latest comments from the live chat. Oh, no. Don't you BGs mention Jason Quitt. I don't have as much against Jason Quitt as some people, but I think he gets far too much attention in our sphere here, Super V Fun Cat. She's a natural hypnotist or part alien. Well, that may have something to do with it. And let's see. I kind of missed the joke. Okay, so back to this reading that she's giving me. Now remember, I've looked into hundreds of psychics. I've never had a physical sensation like I started to have while she was supposedly working on my aura, working on my chakras. Then she said, I'm going to begin to work on your organs, because your organs, as I recall, she started rattling off numbers to me, like your liver is at 40% of its norm, of what the health that it should be at, which makes sense because I probably drink a little too much beer. So I kind of agreed. Yeah, my liver function is probably terrible. And then she started talking about my heart function, my mind, my brain. As I recall, she said something about my brain, which floored me, because I'm a survivor of a brain aneurysm. And she said something about my brain, that you had a problem with your brain or something like that. And I was floored at that moment and didn't know what to say. But again, I didn't give her a positive response. I was very careful not to give her positive responses in case she was cold reading me. I don't know how she would know that. So I started to get creeped out right away with the possibility, because I was having these physical sensations in my body, and then after she started rattling off these numbers, like your lung function is bad too, yeah, I smoke and I drink, so my lungs and my liver are probably a mess. And she said, I'm going to go in and start working on that to clear those pathways, to improve your organs. Now and then she said, I'm going to work on your heart. You're going to begin to feel a sensation in your chest. And then she kept saying, do you feel that? Do you feel that? And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. And then out of nowhere, I got this. It wasn't a pain. It was like a warm sensation right in the top of my chest. And I was taken aback, because this is another physical sensation that she's telling me that I'm going to have, that I truly started having. So I, then I sort of got the urge to start making notes, but she kept telling me to be still, and I didn't want to do that. So I just tried to intensely remember the sequence of events here the best that I can. I'm making notes in my mind, but then I started to get some anxiety because I felt this heat getting hotter in my chest while she said that she's working on my heart. And then one of the things she said to me in a message before this reading began on the phone was that she could make my heart go faster or slower. I forgot that she had said that. And then she said, after the warm sensation, and she told me she was working on my heart, she said, you're going to begin to feel your heartbeat and pulse are going to get faster. Do you feel that? And at first, no, I don't feel anything. And I put my hand on my heart, and I could feel a steady sort of resting rhythm of a heart. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. And then she said, give me a moment. Okay, you're going to start feeling it in a moment. You're going to start feeling your heart will begin to race. You're going to feel it. And I'm thinking, no way is she going to make my heart beat faster. And again, I started feeling this anxiety. Most of the anxiety was centered around, what if I finally found a real psychic here that can actually do something that's measurable? And just at that moment, I have my hand on my heart. And it was not totally subtle, but it wasn't like my heart rate did not double, but it increased dramatically. And she said, there, now you'll feel it. Right when I started, like I could feel it in my hand that my heart was starting to beat faster. So now I got totally freaked because I thought this is a physical effect. And she's telling me she's going to make my heart go faster. And God is my witness, it did. My heartbeat jumped up. And she said, it'll begin to slow down. Relax. You'll be fine. Don't be afraid. I'm working the energies of your heart out or something like that. And I'm floored. I was floored at this point because I've seen 100 psychics. All of them use magic tricks. All of them use cold reading techniques. That's another point I'd like to make. I'm very familiar with cold reading techniques. And cold reading techniques are generalizations, and they throw out a lot of stuff, and they wait to see what you respond to, and then they grab that hit and they run with it. See? Yeah, you do have, problems with your feet, or nonsense these cold readers use. She didn't throw out lots of stuff or generalizations. It was all very specific, like her telling me, you're going to feel your heart go faster, and it did. I have looked for somebody that had measurable psychic ability for decades, never found one person that could come anywhere near what she was doing at this moment. I got excited. I can't lie. I was like, my God, can she really do this thing that she said that she would do? And she did it. Then things got a little stranger. She started saying that she was going to work on my DNA, that I had errors. We all have errors, anomalies, or problems in our DNA. And Dan Hogan, we have a comment up on the screen. Have you ever said anything in your other shows about having a brain aneurysm? Yes, I did. So, the possibility on some of her hits, there's two possibilities with psychics. One of them is cold reading. Most of them use cold reading, but some of them use research, and it's called pre-show work. They will go to the ends of the earth to find information about a subject. For all I know, she could have listened to every one of my shows, picking out pieces of information, but I don't have evidence to support that. But it's definitely a possibility that she could have done that. That's scary. I didn't. Oh, Ellen Fox, that's an excellent question. Did she heal your eye situation? A lot of people know because of a brain aneurysm, I have one paralyzed eye. It's called third nerve palsy. And just for the benefit of anybody watching that's always wondering, why does this guy wear sunglasses constantly? It's because I have what most people would call a lazy eye. And it's a chronic condition. It's never going to come back. Ellen, I did not think to ask her to heal that. Maybe I could if I talked to her. But most of her claims of healing me, I don't know. Did she really repair my aura? Did she align my chakras? And the most troubling claim that she makes that I have a problem with is that she repairs people's damaged DNA. Because again, it's not like we looked at my DNA under a microscope before this session and found flaws, errors, anomalies, or damage, and then looked at my DNA sample after the session and found that she had repaired it. And to me, that would be proof that she actually repaired my DNA. The problem that I have with psychics, especially psychics or mediums or anybody that charges people money, is that they're pretending. And the example I always use is this. If I were to, for example, tell you, I will cut your grass for $50, and then I took your $50 and I just walked out in your front lawn and pretended to cut the grass and kept your $50, that would be a crime. That would be theft. It would be immoral, unethical, and probably illegal to take money for a service and then just pretend with no proof that you actually issued the service. This is why I have a problem with psychics. This is why I have a problem with mediums, and even a lot of these so-called light worker healers or quantum this and, crystal healers. I'm not real big on Reiki either. I have a problem with anybody taking money for something that they can't prove that they actually provided the service. So the DNA issue is a big issue for me. I have not talked to her about this yet. Now, I wanted to do this show because there is too much to unpack here and jam it all in one show along with the interview of her. So tonight, I just wanted to talk about this experience that I had with her. And I'd also like to continue because there was one more physical effect. She said that she was repairing or upgrading my DNA, and that I would begin to feel tingling in different areas of my body. Now, I didn't feel tingling, and she kept saying something like, do you feel that tingling? Do you feel that sensation? It's like a shiver. Do you feel that? And I said, no, no, no. And then all of a sudden, like when you get that shiver, all of a sudden I got that shiver. And again, I was floored because I spent years doing stage magic shows. If I could do those two tricks, making somebody's heart beat faster on command and giving them a shiver on command, that would be to magicians. Ask any magician. If they could figure out how to do that, that would be an amazing effect. It would be jaw-dropping to an audience if you could do that. So I was very excited and impressed at first, but I have to say that on the actual value of the whatever she was supposed to be working on me, and I don't know that there was value. Do I feel like all my past traumas are healed and gone? No, but I will say that I felt great today. I also had strange, vivid dreams, and she said that I would. And that's another part of this experience. And she was in the dreams in a strange sort of way, sort of vivid, weird. I'm in Atlantis, I'm in Egypt, and she's there, like showing me a pyramid. It was bizarre dreams. But I woke up this morning feeling better than I have in a long time. So was there a benefit to this stuff? I have no idea. And we're going to go back to comments from the live chat. William Pixie, I am not doubting your experiences. I wouldn't charge anyone a dime for any tarot reading or anything else either. Yeah, Reemsy, I don't know. I'm not really into tarot. I was at one point, but I never charged people money. But I did this mentalism show, and that was kind of like, for quite honestly, it was for housewives that had too much money. And I would go to house parties or cocktail parties and do sort of like a stand-up show for an hour. And then afterwards, I could never figure out how to read tarot cards without a book next to me. And you can't do that for money. So I used these fortune card things that were very, very inexpensive. Oh, Peter Wilco. Well, thanks for joining us, Peter, and we'll see you again soon. You have a good night. When miracles are here, Ellen Fox says, when miracles are here, they will be free. Yeah, so the takeaway from this, her working on my chakras and healing me of past trauma, is that I didn't find, so far, I am unconvinced, but I felt great this morning when I woke up, and we all have trauma. Did she heal all my past trauma? No, but I had a very positive attitude today and realized on the drive to the cabin here that I didn't think about any past trauma or pain or anxiety today as much as I probably usually do. And William Pixley, I don't doubt you, Reemsy, because you are wise enough to know about John D. Dan Hogan, I go to see a medium, but I'm not paying any more than 40 or 50 bucks. Miss Sarah Adams is significantly more expensive than $40 or $50. I don't want to say a number that's wrong, so I will ask her what she charges clients when we do the actual interview. Good night, Carol. Night, Carol. You may highly be susceptible to hypnosis. Reemsy, I actually believe in and work with chakras, but I wouldn't expect anyone else to believe it. It's more of a matter of faith, not something that can be proven. You know, I got that sense from her as well. It's like, do I blame her though for selling this service? No, because every spiritual organization is selling services, whether you're Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Hindi, Buddhist. There's always, give a few bucks. And like the Catholic, I grew up Catholic, and their rituals, like, for example, it used to be called the last rites, but now it's called anointing of the sick, because we have to change the words to make everything, more pleasant sounding. I don't know. Anointing of the sick and the last rites, whatever. But in the Catholic ritual of anointing of the sick or last rites, you're basically assured a place in heaven if the priest gets to you before you die and administers the last rites, because part of that is he'll take your confession, and then he blesses you on your merry way and anoints you with oil. And the Catholic belief is that if you just get last rites, it doesn't matter what, it's almost ridiculous. Like, you could be a murderer, but if you get last rites, you're still going to heaven, Doesn't make any sense. But Catholics pay the priest. When my father was dying in the hospital, we had to have some money there to give to the priest to do this last rites thing. But my father was very Catholic, and he would have wanted that. So we just pay the money. And do I know that for sure? Well, we got him the last rites. He's going to heaven. No, you have to go on faith with Catholics to say, okay, he might, he guess he's going to heaven because we paid the $100 to the church and we got him the last rites. Jasmine Emmerich, who's very wise about some of this stuff, she says she wouldn't be able to sell it if there were no buyers. I'm not trying to shift blame, but the charlatan cannot sell their snake oil if there are no buyers. Short form of a longer conversation. I agree with you. Absolutely. And just to be fair to her, no, I'm not saying that she's a charlatan or a snake oil salesperson. That's yet to be determined. Let's get back to the experience, though. So, oh, 1 second, folks. Hello, this is Steven. Yeah, who's this? Oh, Eric, listen, let me pull you in right now, but I got to finish a point and then we'll get right to you, okay? All right, hold on. All right, we didn't even open the phone lines up, but I gave the number out earlier because I wanted to have another perspective here of somebody who has had encounters with her, and that would be Eric the Awakening Man. One of the things that she told me was that she can summon spaceships, and even Eric the Awakening Man saw them. And I said, I know him on Twitter. I got to talk to him and, find out. So we're going to get to Eric in a moment. He's here on the phone. But to finish my point, so there was these physical sensations that I was having, and I could not explain at the time. Then she got into a lot of different stuff about my son, who happens to be autistic. She told me things that were spot on, dead on with my son, that he runs around giggling a lot, that he runs around screaming a lot. But that later, when I thought about it, all autistic children do that. Anybody familiar with autistic children knows that they'll walk up behind you and just scream for no reason, especially the nonverbal ones. And I don't know, I said, hey, every kid runs around giggling sometimes, don't they? And she said, no, but yours does it a lot more than most children. And she's right. My wife and I call it the giggles. So there's something else that she told me. And I just want to make one more point about my son. She told me that his favorite color is blue, and he's nonverbal autistic. If I ask him what's your favorite color, he can't tell me. If I put a bunch of crayons in front of him and say, pick your favorite color, he doesn't consistently pick the same color. So I don't know if she's right about that. But let's get to Eric the Awakening Man. Eric, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. So we talked a little bit on Twitter. She said that you were somewhere nearby her and she summoned spaceships and you saw them. So can you tell us what happened with that?
You want the beginning, the middle, and the end, or you want me just to try to make it super brief? I mean, how much time do you want? I can just go on for 3 or 4 minutes if you want.
No, yeah. I mean, 3 or 4 minutes is good. Tell the story. So okay. She summons, or let's take it from here. She tells you that she's going to summon spaceships, right? And you're there.
That's part of it.
Okay.
The lead up is always important. You know I'm a researcher, and I try to keep a neutral mind on everything until, I'm like you in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say I'm skeptical because I've seen enough now and met enough people to have an intuition about if I'm feeling their vibe, like maybe this is legit. Like, for example, Corey Good, I never ever felt that guy's vibe from the beginning. So anyway, I just wanted to drop that real quick. So what happened is I've been talking to this guy, Harry Drew, who lives in Kingman, Arizona, and he wrote the book 7 Days in Kingman about the 2 crashes and a landing in Kingman, Arizona, off of Stockton Road in the Red Lake area. So I met him at the conference in Laughlin. I'd been talking to him. He was a hard guy to get to talk to. So you know how it is sometimes. You try to, have conversations with these people you're interested in, and sometimes they're leery or they're cautious. And this guy, he was not willing initially to really just open up. So I had to meet him in person and, get him to, I'm a sincere person. So he took him a little bit, but he started to trust me. So he opened up. But anyway, so I said, at one point I said, so are there UFOs still flying around out there in Kingman? Because he has a ranch out there off of Old Stockton Road, which is about a 40-mile road that goes through the desert from Kingman towards the general direction of Nevada. drive 20 miles out Old Stockton Road, and you'll see them. So, of course, I told my friend John Polk, who lives in Sedona, and I told Brad,
yeah, I've heard John Polk was there as well, right?
Yeah, John Polk was there. And I was the one, I'm not trying to get credit here, but I was the one who initiated all this to begin with, because, it's more fun when you're doing these sort of things to have people with you.
Sure, like sky watching. Yeah, like sky watching with friends.
Right. Well, also, if you see something and it sounds too fantastical for somebody, if you're telling the story, you got 3 other people, and if they're credible people or whatever, then you've got 4 people that are telling the same story.
Absolutely.
Then you got to deduce that why would all 4 of these people just make this up for no profit, no gain, and they don't need attention? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, so Brad and Sarah were in California, and they decided they're gonna drive, and because I told them about it, and so we left Sedona. It took about a little over 2 hours to get to Kingman. They left California. They drove out, and we timed it where we met in Kingman, Arizona, and I had already scoped out the spot because I'd driven out there the day before, so I knew exactly where we were gonna go. So we drove out there, 2 cars. They followed us out there. John Polk and I drove. He's got the night vision goggles. And then anyway, so we get out there. It's a little after 8 p.m. or whatever. It was around, let me think about this for a second. It was in the 8 o'clock hour, but as you know, certain times of the year, this was about a month ago, approximately. Here's the deal. In these certain areas, it is my experience that just after it gets dark, there's a window of time that's usually about 30 to 45 minutes. For some reason, there is a lot of activity in specific areas. So that's that. And then if you go, let's say 10, 11, 12, a lot of times you'll see nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Twilight for me, twilight and, dusk and dawn is the best time. We're an hour after each.
So we got out there, and John Polk does the UFO tours also. So he believes, and when I say he believes, doesn't mean I don't believe him or I disbelieve him. I'm just saying he believes that he can call these things in, right? And I'm already thinking, before anybody's talking about anything, that these things are already here, whether you call them in or not. I've already been told they're here. But if you guys want to think that you're calling them in, then great. Maybe you are. I don't know. Just like you were saying earlier, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're out there. We have the night vision, and it's completely pitch dark out there. Or black. There's no lights out there. You're in the middle of the desert, off this little road, the Old Stockton Road, and these things start to appear, and we're seeing them. And I would say in a period of 30 minutes, we saw no exaggeration, 15 to 20. And some of them you could see with the naked eye. Some of them were so high up that you couldn't see them unless you had the night vision, for some reason, when you have the night vision, in some instances, there's a light spectrum that's occurring with these things that allows you to see them with the night vision, but you may not be able to see them with the naked eye. But when they're really close, you don't really need the night vision because they're close enough to where they're bright enough and you can see them. So we're seeing these things kind of cruise over back and forth. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I could never promise anybody these aren't satellites. I know they're not planes. I know they're not helicopters. I couldn't tell you they weren't military secret craft because I don't know, but I just know they're moving up back and forth over this one little area. Then all of a sudden, this is where it got really interesting. This one object appeared that was bigger and brighter than the other ones that had been flying back and forth. And right behind it, it looked like in a triangle formation, there was 2 smaller lights that's still visible with the naked eye. And they're flying, and I'll just call it a formation, going towards Nevada. I didn't think about that till now, but that was the direction that they were flying towards Nevada. And I don't know if they were headed exactly in the direction of Area 51. That would be speculation. But anyway, so then we're looking at this thing move, and we're thinking, is that 3 objects, or is that one big object? And we're seeing the 3 points of light with the one big light in the front. I don't know. And this other object that was up higher in the atmosphere appears and starts to come down towards these other 3 lights that are moving. And it looks like it's just going to go right into this light clusters that I'm watching. But then as these other lights move, it kind of goes it was behind it, because you could see that it wasn't going in front of it or through it. It kind of went behind it. But to see all that happen at one time,
that's a lot of activity, right?
Secret military, or that was fucking aliens, one or the other. Can I say the F word? If I can't, I'm sorry.
No, we're okay here. We're independent. You don't have to worry about anything.
So anyway, so Sarah was there, and she was describing what was happening, and she was saying, I can't recall everything, but one of the things that she was saying that they have a base in these mountains, and I didn't tell her this. She didn't know this. She didn't know anything about Harry Drew. But I remember she hadn't been prepped about any of this stuff. But she was telling me pretty much the same thing that Harry Drew had already told me privately on phone conversations. And so she somehow picked up on the energy of these things and said that, they've got a base here. And so to me, these things have been flying over in this one mountainous region. I could speculate that it could have been because the mountains have a lot of gold, a lot of crystal and granite, because that is a hot spot for some reason for these things. And then so she's kind of she was nailing it. So that was just the beginning. So then they abruptly stopped. We didn't see anything for like 15 minutes, and then we just decided, okay, let's go back to the hotel. And hopefully, I don't think Sarah will mind that I tell you this, because she'll probably tell you the details when she talks to you, but I'm going to give the highlights. So we get back to her hotel, and we're sitting there on this she has a nice little place there. We're sitting on the couch, John Polk, myself. I'm sitting next to Sarah, and Brad Olson's sitting next to her on the other side. And all of a sudden, she goes, "Look at me." And I look her in the eyes. I'm not laughing at her. I'm just kind of laughing in amazement. And I'm looking at her eyes, and one of her eyes is the pupil is kind of moving around in almost like a circle. And I'm thinking, I've never seen anybody do this before. This is interesting. And the other eye was moving, I don't know if it was up and down, sideways, but it was moving in a different pattern than the other eye. So she had both her eyes looking at me, moving in some strange way that I've never seen before. Okay? And then, I forget how she said it, but she more or less announced that she was going to channel or something along those lines. And then I wish I could have recorded this, because I wasn't really prepared that she was going to do this.
Yeah, Eric, I wish I would have recorded what she did for me, because I wanted to be able to deconstruct it better. I have to do it totally from memory, because I was making mental notes like of what she was saying and what was happening and the sensations that I felt like I was having. It was bizarro to me.
Well, I've been listening to you talk the whole time, and your recall is excellent. And normally, my recall is not that good, but when I'm affected by somebody or an experience, I tend to recall all the details. And it sounds like that's what happened to you, where whatever happened, you were affected by it.
Yeah, so physically, Eric, I was physically affected. I felt physical sensations that she told me that I was going to feel. So I'm me, I'm as skeptical as most skeptics, but I want to believe. And what I'm going to say right now is, I don't know. I can't explain some of the things that happened. I'm still processing it, and I'm going to, I have a working theory that would explain some of it, and we're going to explore that when we talk to her. But I don't want to have a one-sided conversation when she's not here. So I will present what I believe may be.
Now, what happened? I thought she was going to come on tonight and talk with you.
No, it's my fault. I told her that first of all, this is the first broadcast from the cabin, and I was afraid that nothing would work, because we have like the guy had to run a 2-mile line to the nearest connection point in the woods here. So the internet's been working, but I was scared that it wouldn't work well, first of all, and I didn't want to ruin her appearance. And then also there's so much to unpack. So I thought tonight I would just talk about some of the things, some of her claims, the experience that I had, show Kevin Moore's experience, and then when she comes on, everybody will have more of a background, and it's more of a deep dive into her and her.
The way you're handling
Good. I've been trying to get Eric to come on my show. You never came on my radio show. I kept trying. I'm like, come on, man. Eric is at the center of all this stuff. And what people don't know about Eric is that, like, if there's like paranormal activity anywhere he can drive to, he just hops in his car and goes there and looks into it. And I love that kind of field work, you know?
Yeah, that's really the way. Okay, so I do all this because I want to know. And as you know, I don't do radio. I'm not writing a book. I'm not out there trying to publicize myself to make any money because it's for me. But I share it with my friends and people that want to listen. You know, and if they don't agree with me, I invite them to come out and check it out themselves. And if they don't want to do it, then fine. I mean, whatever. I don't care. This is for, you know, it's for me.
Sure.
I've learned a lot in 4 years. And so here's the deal, though, is when you start doing this at first, you're not sure exactly, you know, what's what. But then when you have a series of experiences with a variety of people, then after a period of time, I started to think that, okay, this is legit, in my opinion. Now, I couldn't convince you over the phone or in some radio interview that it's legit. You would have to experience it yourself. And so what's interesting about Sarah, and what Brad Olson told me when he first told me about Sarah, that he'd met her, and I didn't even know who she was. And he says, you got to meet her. She's remarkable. And I thought, I think that's an interesting word, remarkable. And
yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about just the conversation that we had that didn't revolve around, you know, this so-called experience that she was going to give to me, because there's a lot of interesting things that she talked about with me that honestly impressed me. One of them was that she has an incredible knowledge of the Bible. And I had 10 years of Catholic scripture study and Bible study and brainwashing, and I know the Bible better than most preachers. I'm very confident in saying that because of 10 years of, you know, we'd have half a day sometimes of Bible study, you know, 4 hours a day for years. So I'm very well versed in the Bible, and I was impressed with her knowledge of the scripture. She can spit scripture like a preacher can spit scripture, and in context, and making analogies that make sense. She would say, like, you know, the Bible says that we are more powerful than the angels, and then she would give me the Bible verse to support her statement, which was impressive to me. But then she's so mysterious. I asked her, did you grow up Christian? And she said, maybe not in this lifetime, but I have, or something like that. That seemed like just an odd comment, you know? So I don't know where she got the intense Bible knowledge that she has, if not growing up Christian, but okay.
Yeah. Well, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit because, I have a feeling, because you're smart, you're developing a rapport with her, and you're approaching this in a professional way. I think she will open up and tell you some things, and what she's already told me. And one of the things, I'm gonna kind of dance around a little bit because I don't have her permission, but she was raised in well, I don't know if raised. She was in a military type situation. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
There is a base in California called Edwards Air Force Base.
She did tell me about some of that. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm watching your chat room, and some people are saying, "Oh, she's an alien," or she thinks she's an alien, or something like that. And without getting into detail, what she described to me, why she is the way she is, it is her belief. Because she can't probably prove this. She could prove it through her work, probably eventually, maybe, but she can't. If she just tells you, in other words, it's possible. I know it's going to sound out there, but it's possible that they're doing. We'll call it experimentation, and I believe this is true, and I believe it's been going on a long time. But again, it's something you can't prove. That they're genetically altering and manipulating people. That and then they're selected sometimes, not everybody, through the military. And so if let's say you're a female, and you have special abilities. I'm not talking about Sarah right now. And then they want to create, let's say, I'm not saying this is a Joseph Mengele situation, but kind of in a lab type situation where you're adding the DNA or whatever of beings that are not from this earth, and then you're adding other DNA, and then you're putting it together and you're injecting it into the womb of a person, and then out of that person comes a baby, and then that baby grows up with these abilities and this knowledge and this awareness that people that didn't grow up in this program, we'll call it, have naturally or are aware of. So what she talks about is everybody has this ability. Maybe that's true, but it's definitely an advantage for her in many ways that she's aware of it and she knows how to use it. And I think she was probably taught how to use it. And so that's all, I've said it in a nutshell right there.
Well, that's a lot of speculation, but here's what I'll say. I've heard various stories about some kind of experiments at Edwards Air Force Base. Does that make sense? You've heard similar stories, right?
Yeah.
But experiments involving some kind of alien technology or biological entities at Edwards Air Force Base. And she apparently, I don't know if it was her father, as I don't recall exactly, but she had some connection or grew up near that base.
Yes.
I've heard her sort of talk about star seeds and how she may have some connection or DNA of them, or so I'm going to have to unpack that with her when she's here, because I don't want to just throw stuff out there and when she doesn't have an opportunity to respond.
Right. Well, that'll be very interesting when you okay, we'll skip forward. Can I talk to you for another few minutes, or do you want to get
sure, yeah.
Okay, so we'll skip forward now. So let's see here, about 2.5 weeks ago, I was in Sedona, and I drove up there to go to Happy Jack, which the 2 weeks prior to that, myself, John Polk, and Raw, this guy's amazing too. That's somebody you might want to talk to at some point. He's got abilities as well. But anyway, his girlfriend Krista, we went up to Happy Jack, and I filmed some stuff. You might have looked at it already on my Twitter, but these were legit objects. And I was able to actually record them because I put my cell phone up to the night vision and just was able to hold it steady. Anyway, so I wanted to go back there after. That night, I'm kind of going off topic there a little bit, but that night we were up there, we were hearing sounds that were not human sounds. I don't know what they were, but John and Raw and thought that it was the Bigfoot, which they call the Mogollon Monster up there in Arizona. And I couldn't tell you if it was Bigfoot or not, but that's what they believed. So anyway, so I went back to go again a second time. I wanted to camp up there again to see if my first experiences would happen again, one of those kind of deals. And then I got sick. And so I was at John's house, and I was supposed to hang out with Sarah and everybody. We're all going to kind of hang out, but I'm laying in bed. I'm getting sick. I'm throwing up. So Sarah comes over to John Polk's house, and she asked permission to heal me, and I said, absolutely. So she actually did some things, and she was, putting her hands over me and kind of like as if she was collecting energy, and then she was throwing it, kind of tossing it. And she did that for a while, and then she got kind of exhausted. Well, I don't know if exhausted is the right word, but she got worn out because she said there was a lot of energy in my gut area that was, I'll just call it negative. That was not healthy, and so she was trying to clear that. And so after she did that, I did feel better, no doubt about it. I wasn't totally better, but I felt better than I did before she did it. So then I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to get better. Maybe I can still go camping. The next day came, and I wasn't really getting better, but I was still better than I was. And I just decided, okay, I'm just going to go home, even though I didn't want to, because I was worried that I was getting really sick, and I wanted to be home if I was going to be really sick. So I drove home. I'm going to wrap it up now. Drove home. Started throwing up bad. For 2 days, I was throwing up. Got to the point where I was throwing up blood. This was 14 days ago. Okay? And my neighbors hear me throw up, and I'm like, he calls 911. The ambulance comes. They take me to the hospital. So I just got out of the hospital today. I was in the hospital in emergency for 12 days. They did several x-rays and scopes, and they put that camera down into my stomach. And at first they thought that I might have cancer. They thought that there was a blockage there that was causing, that's why the acid was coming up. And they said I had some stuff in my throat. And so they took really good care of me. And I was well enough today to come home. I still can only eat soft and liquids. I can't really like have a meal yet because my stomach's still not. It's going to take 3 months for me to get better, is what they said.
Yeah, I hope you feel better.
So I called. Thank you. I called Sarah today because she was going to come and visit me in the hospital. It's about a 2-hour drive from where she is. And I says, well, you don't have to come because I'm going to come up your way in a few days, and then we'll just go have lunch and we'll talk. But she says, I hope you don't mind, buddy. I hope you don't mind. But I've been sending lots of healing energy your way. And I thought, well, no, of course I don't mind. Thank you very much. But what's weird about this is, okay, this is what's strange. The doctor, the surgeon, would come in every morning in the beginning. And twice he came in, 2 mornings in a row. He said, very kind of coldly, it kind of pissed me off, actually. He says, looks like we're going to have to remove your stomach. And then he just walked out, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not really even awake yet, because you can't sleep in the hospital more than about 3 hours because they're constantly. Anyway, so I thought, man, what the fuck's going on here? These guys, they won't really. They've got all these tests. They well, we're going to give you the results on Tuesday, and that was. And I'm thinking, why do I got to wait so long, man? But in the meantime, they've got all these fluids in me intravenously, and so on and so forth. And I'm slowly getting better, and I got a tube up my nose, down into my stomach, and they're sucking out all the acid to make sure that they said that I had ulcers in my stomach and in my throat.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Well, that sucks. That sucks, Eric, but it beats cancer.
Yeah, this is definitely, from what I've learned since, this is all, had I let this thing go and not gone to the hospital, it could have turned into cancer. It was like pre-cancer activity happening. So then the doctor comes in yesterday, and the same doctor, he says, he can say, I apologize, I was wrong. I'm not going to have to remove your stomach after all. He says, well, you don't have cancer, and you don't need surgery, so we're going to let you go home. I'm going, fuck yeah. So somehow, I have a very positive attitude, and I was thinking the whole time that I'm going to get better. I was thinking I'm going to heal. There's no way I'm having surgery. I just didn't want to believe it. But somehow in the background, Sarah, 150 miles away, apparently was doing her thing. So I don't know if she was helping or what percentage of what she was doing was helping me heal. But there was a turnaround that I don't think the doctors were prepared for. That's a true story.
Well, that's interesting. So that's another thing to add to the strange case of Sarah Adams.
Yep, exactly.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go, Eric. I want you to come and do a whole show with me on video soon. Can you do that when you're feeling better?
Well, I don't know video, but maybe. But
we're just calling in. It's fine.
Dive down the Charles Hall rabbit hole, but maybe we can have some fun with that because
I got some stuff. Yeah, I got some stuff to send you about that.
That would be fun to talk about.
We got some stuff to send you. Okay, well, we'll be in touch. Thank you, Eric, for being a guest.
Enjoy the rest of your show. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Eric. Feel better. Get some rest, rock star. Okay, so that was Eric Awakening Man, and I thought it would be good if he just got out of the hospital, so I kind of told him like, hey, if you feel better, call in and tell me about your experience with her, but he was feeling tired earlier, so that was kind of a surprise call. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break, quite honestly, so I can go use the outdoor plumbing. Yes, we have outdoor plumbing here. And no, we don't actually, but I use a tree sometimes. So I'm going to go take care of something, and I will be right back. And then I have 2 more points to make that are very important. And then we're going to go to the live chat, questions, comments, and you can ask me anything. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, I saw that comment, Solar Marshall. What happened to Steven Cambian? Ordinarily, he would rip this BS person apart. And you can watch the beginning of the show and hear about the experience that I had with this girl and why I am reserving my usual very skeptical, some would say nasty nature towards people that make these sort of claims. A lot happened with her that I cannot explain, and I want to be fair to her and give her the benefit of the doubt. And I have a working theory about how she was able to accomplish some of what I experienced. We're going to unpack that when I have her here to answer questions and see what she thinks about my conclusions. But folks, we're going to be right back. And we are back, folks. Sorry about that. I think I got to make that break bumper a little bit longer. So what we're going to do now is I have a few final points to make, and I have another thing to share here, and that is a page full of testimonials. Folks, while she, one of the things that she told me was, I have so many clients that it takes months to get a booking with me, and I don't have anything but happy clients. And I thought, well, I don't know that that's a very believable assertion. I mean, there's got to be somebody that gave her the money and thought, no, but what she sent me was a page full of testimonials that are from her clients. So we're going to look at some of those. Let's see here. Oh, testimonials. Here we go. So we've got an entire page full of testimonials from people. And you'll forgive me if this is very big. Please remember that I'm vision impaired. A random decision to have a session with Sarah has answered so many questions that involve so many areas of my life and cleaned the pathway so I can finally grow energetically. I'm going to skip through a lot of this, though. A single 60-minute telephone session changed everything. In short, I had multiple energetic blockages that were intentionally preventing me from raising my vibration. Those blockages, along with various other emotional and health blockages, were discovered, and she quickly went to work removing them. And, here's what I did. I wanted to kind of go over all of these testimonials. And so I have text to speech on my laptop here, and I played the entire page of testimonials on my cabin right here. And all of them are glowing testimonials about what great experiences. This person bought a 12-session pack. My journey with Sarah brought me joy, lightness, literally. Thanks to her, I am on a keto diet for 3 months now, and so much love. I can feel that I am in love all the time almost. Sarah does not only help you with your challenges and energetic and physical levels, more importantly, she empowers you for her techniques on her own to heal and grow spiritually and otherwise. There's another one. I had a reading where Sarah scanned my body. She facilitated healing energy. I decided to contact her due to a visit from a now not frequent visitor, depression. So here we have somebody that had a tremendous experience with her that was suffering from depression that no longer is. I had a very healing reading with Sarah. She was able to read my aura and target where I needed the most energy. And, you know, I don't know what to think about some of this stuff, but there is this huge page that took like half of my ride here to the cabin for this text-to-speech program to read it. So, you know, I think that affected me in the same way that a lot of people know, you know, Jason Quitt was one of those other people that I was like, this guy's talking a lot of smack and he has no proof. And one of the things about Jason Quitt was that everybody that read his book could not say how, you know, could not give him a better review of his book. It got incredible reviews. If you look at the Amazon page for Jason's book, there's tons of people that are like, I've had similar experience. This book helped me so much to understand more about my own experiences. I'm so glad that I bought that I got his book. It helped me understand what's happening to me better. And I thought, Brandon Young, how many of those testimonials are written by one person? I have, I don't have them here on this laptop, but I have also, I mean, I can find them, email them to you, Brandon, but I have screenshots of Facebook posts, people that have gotten sessions post on Facebook that were certainly written by different people. And yeah, I don't know, you know, could that be just marketing? Like somebody just wrote all those? I don't think so. I don't get that from her. I don't get that she's like deceptive about a lot of the things that she talks about or the way that she markets herself. And another point that I wanted to make is, yeah, it could maybe be determined. Maybe somebody can do a deep dive on that. And that page is just her website. Testimonials, I'll put the link on Twitter later so anybody can look at that if they want to try to pick it apart. I didn't go that far. It seemed to me to not be at least blaringly obvious that it was written, all of those were written by one person, but you're talking about hundreds of testimonials here. I don't see her faking hundreds of testimonials. So yeah, I'm going to turn my attention now really fully to the live chat. If you have a question or comment that you want me to share on the screen that you want to ask about this strange case of Sarah Adams, please do put it in all caps. And remember that I'm vision impaired, so that helps me. And we're going to try to deal with Jeff here, who's not a fan. Why don't you read her email to me that I sent you today, Steven? It shows who Sarah really is. Jeff, you know, you have a personal, I don't want to call it a vendetta, but you don't like this girl. And I get that for various reasons. And you've kind of feuded with her. And I'm in receipt of the emails that you gave me. And I'm going to bring those up when she's here and I can ask her directly, because it's not fair to just, here's one side of the story. If you want to come back when she's in the live chat, when she's on the actual show, which I think we'll be doing next week, I'm trying to coordinate it with her. You're welcome to ask her the questions. If she wants to answer, she will, but I'm going to specifically bring up the coronavirus stuff. Here's an issue that Jeff, honestly, I think Jeff Giop, he has a personal, you know, he's been feuding with this girl for various reasons. And, you know, honestly, I want to be fair to her, Jeff, and I don't think it's fair for me to just pull out a bunch of emails or to say, here's a bunch of things that could be a huge problem that she's doing. One of them I will just quickly mention is that she was selling some kind of coronavirus related, I don't want to call it a cure, or sessions, healing sessions, and homeopathic remedies. That I have a problem with, and I will agree with anybody that equally has a problem with it. First of all, homeopathic remedies are junk. They're garbage. It's proven. If you just go by actual medical science, I don't believe that homeopathic remedies do anything except line the pockets of somebody who wants to sell fake medicine and fake cures for things and fake treatments for things. I'm not a fan of homeopathic remedies. And also, I'm going to ask her directly, are you doing healing sessions with people who are coronavirus infected? And what are you telling them that these healing sessions are going to do for them about their problem of having COVID-19? Obviously, if she's offering healing services to people who are infected or concerned with COVID-19, that's a problem for me. But one of the other points I wanted to make, I couldn't find the pictures. I've said this about a lot of these gurus, especially Corey Goode and David Wilcock. Why, if you guys are like supposed to be the saviors of humanity, don't you do something in the real world? Go feed the homeless, go help orphans, do something. Someone sent me, because they knew that I was going to be covering this strange case of Sarah Adams, and they knew that I have said on multiple occasions about David Wilcock, Shady Shilcock, and Corey Goode, Corey No Good. Why don't you go feed the homeless? Right? You're so spiritual. You're love and light. We never see you at a soup kitchen doling out soup to the bums or the homeless people. So I think because somebody knew that I hammered them, why don't you feed the homeless if you care about people so much and you're light and love? Somebody sent me pictures of this Sarah Adams in Egypt feeding the homeless. Now, she's there on vacation. She didn't have to do that. And I'm not sure of the exact story. As best as I recall from the email, there are people who live in or near the graveyards in Egypt, and they're homeless, and they don't have any money, and they don't have any food. And Sarah recognized this while she was there, encountered these people, and went at her own expense and bought a ton of food and is handing it out to all these homeless people. Now, one could argue that that might be just for publicity. Look at me feeding these homeless people. But I have found multiple examples of her doing things like that. And I also will say that I found her to be very, very, I don't know, sincere and genuine in her, I guess, belief and desire that it's her life mission to help people. I may not agree that these healing sessions that she offers are a good thing for people that are sick. I don't know yet. The jury's still out with me. But I will say, and also, listen, just because she's sincere does not mean that, just because she's sincere, that's not proof. That's not proof that she's got psychic powers. Sincerity is not evidence. But I didn't get the same con artist, all for money situation that I get from other people. I feel like this live chat sort of crashed. Let me take a look here. No. Yeah, I'm getting the comments in the live chat, but it seems to be stuck. Let me try to unstick that. Let me try to post something there. Yeah, friends, the live chat sort of crashed in my StreamYard setup, but I still see that it's still going here in the live chat, of course. Which brings me to another point that I really want to make sure that I make. I get in these emails and I'm getting these comments about things like I had squeaky lights, or you're too dark, the lighting is too dark, or oh, your background was off on this one show. Did you bump the webcam? And yes, I did bump the webcam right before the stream started. Oh, there we go. We're back again. Now I think I got you guys back. So, I have a theory here, and that is this. It's especially the people that are used to the midnight hour show, my radio show, who are making, and listen, these are constructive comments. If I've got squeaky lights, I should oil them. Yeah, they were cheap Chinese lights. They oil, or they squeak a lot, and I have to try to fix that because I love the lights, but I don't like that squeaking either. Super V Fun Cat. She is not, to the best of my knowledge, we've talked about this, a supporter of Corey Good. In fact, she believes that she is maybe somewhat responsible for the karmic shift in Corey Good's fortunes lately. And maybe we'll get her to talk about that when we have her to interview. Oh, out of mind, it wasn't you. I got like 2 emails about the squeaks. Like somebody said it was unwatchable. I think it was Mario Heat. So I'm sorry, Mario. I'm going to try to fix those lights. Absolutely. Oh, but back to my point. So, yeah, the background's going to be off. The music may be too loud. The lights may squeak. The microphone might not sound great. I'm working on getting a better microphone. And by the way, all of this stuff, the webcam, the microphone, and the software is all purchased from Patreon money that I was setting aside. So thanks to all my Patreon supporters. My point is that I have, oh yeah, the context could be, but I don't think so because she's done many other things, including I have heard from several people in the community. I don't want, whatever you want to call this community, the conspiracy land community, UFO, alien nuts, whatever, that she sent significant amounts of money to when they were in trouble or they needed some help. Somebody lost their home. She sent them a bunch of money, and I don't mean a small amount of money. There's a lot of examples of this that I've been hearing, and here we have Eric in the, oh, don't sweat the small stuff when streaming. It's usually all small stuff. You're right, Lee. So, yeah, let me try to finish that point. That's another thing. I'm sorry, guys. I ramble sometimes because I'm used to the ability to edit everything. Oh, so my theory is that people who are used to the Midnight Hour show, it was pre-recorded. There was tons of editing, and sometimes tons. Sometimes I just let a lot of stuff slip. But with a pre-recorded audio show, if there's a click, a squeak, you can get that out of there before you air the show. And so people were used to like perfect production and everything being perfect. This show is live, so things are going to be different. And I'm calling this warts and all. So you're getting my new show, warts and all. I want to produce as much content as possible. And the best way to do that is no editing. I could take those shows down, try to edit the audio to get the squeaking out and put them back up. But that's a lot of editing and re-uploads and, lost views. We're not going to do that. So my point is that this new show, Truthseekers, you guys are getting it warts and all. And certainly I will try to address issues that are a problem. But for now, we're getting it, William Pixley, we're getting it warts and all. So that's that point. And given this whole episode is out of your ordinary skeptical frame, is there any takeaways from this experience as of now you feel that you can quantify, speak to definitely? Here's what I can say. I can say this with certainty. She told me that she could speed up my heart, and then she did. She told me that I would feel pins and needles or shivers, and I felt I think I felt pins and needles in my leg, and then I felt like a whole like chill went up and down my spine. And I have a working theory that we're going to talk to her about that may explain some of this phenomenon. And listen, I'm not the only person that she has done this to. I have other sources who told me that she created a physical effect in them. And it's very interesting to me that she's able to somehow do this. And this is another reason that, yeah, I'm dropping my normal skeptical, like just beat them up and that they're frauds and find a way to explain it. I want to get this right. If there is a more reasonable explanation, and actually I really do believe there is, I'm talking to some experts right now about my experience with her and a few other people's experience with her to try to get to a non-paranormal explanation that's not, you know, swamp gas or weather balloons ridiculous, but actually explains what she did, what she is doing, and how she's able to accomplish those effects. Sarah's interesting. I want to see proof that she's psychic and a super soldier. I think that was her boyfriend that was the super soldier. And this is the world that we're in. We have a psychic intuitive healer, and her boyfriend was a super soldier. He's now deceased. May he rest in peace. God rest his soul. The context. I'm happy to be the guinea pig. And, you know, I didn't open the phone lines. If anybody else would like to call in, I'm going to put that phone line in. Might be due to the power of suggestion and not psychic activity. Who knows? Well, there you go, Reemsy. You're coming dangerously close to the explanation that I'm trying to get to, but I have a real expert on the power of suggestion and hypnosis who has to help me analyze what happened and see if we could get to a non-paranormal explanation for these physical effects. She was able, and listen, you know, my hand's in my hat here. Everybody knows that I'm such a skeptic that I go, oh, these people are all going to think I went to the woo, and, you know, now I'm going to have channelers on next, and, you know, super soldiers, and, you know, targeted individuals, and, you know, we're going to go total woo here. No, but I had an experience that was physical effect. She physically affected me over the phone. I was impressed with her ability to do that. When she told me she was going to do something like that, I went, no, this is going to be good. And I sat there and I was kind of resistant at first to the experience, but this is what happened. And I want to get back for a moment just to my son, because this is an important part of the story too. And somebody mentioned, I've mentioned that I have an autistic son many times. She didn't try to say that she knew by psychic ability that I had an autistic son. I offered that. I said, you know, if you really can heal people, I have an autistic son, and if you could do anything for him, that would be awesome. And that one part kind of threw me, because she said, oh, he screams a lot and he runs around giggling. I discounted that, because if she knows anything about autistic children, she will know that most of them do that, especially the nonverbal ones. But the other thing is that she told me that my son was telepathic and he doesn't speak, but that she could communicate with him. So I go, okay. And she told me she was communicating with him telepathically. And while this is going on, it's like midnight. And I'm sure, for once, that he was in bed sleeping. So that kind of threw me off of my excitement, because I went, okay, well, she's telepathically communicating with him while he's sleeping. Is she able to do that, to telepathically communicate with him while he's sleeping? Okay. And then she told me that his favorite color was blue. Now, I have to tell you, for anybody that has an autistic child, especially a nonverbal one, I don't know what his favorite color is. I wish to God that I did. So she tells me his favorite color is blue. Today, I went to try to find crayons, because if you just ask him, what's your favorite color? No response. I couldn't find crayons, or we have these colors. He can identify colors with these cards we have, these flashcards. You can say, what color? And he'll point to it and he'll say blue. What color? He'll point to it and he'll say yellow. So he does speak a little bit, but it's not much. Couldn't find the cards, couldn't find crayons, but I figured multiple choice. If I give him a choice, maybe he will be able to respond. So today, and I got very emotional about this, today I took him, and you have to get him very calm when you want his attention. So I tried to get him calm and put him on the couch, and I asked him, Zachary, what's your favorite color, yellow or blue? He said blue. What's your favorite color, red or blue? He said blue. What's your favorite color, black or blue, white or blue, yellow or blue, green or blue, gray or blue, brown or blue? Every color I could think of. Each time he said blue. And I got very emotional about this because he's 8 years old. He doesn't communicate. I don't know what his favorite color is. If nothing else from this experience, if that's really his favorite color and I got to find that out, I'm glad that I met and talked to this woman. I don't know if she's a psychic. I know that I had actual physical effects happen. And after she talked to me about my son, you know, she told me that I may feel strange effects. I may have strange dreams. Tomorrow she would check in on me, which I thought was a little weird. Like, okay, you just fixed my aura, and tomorrow you're going to check in with me. And she did, and asked me how I was feeling. And I got to tell you that, you know, I don't believe in empaths. But I do believe that some people are more caring and empathetic of others' feelings than others. Maybe there's a scale, right? And some people are just more naturally sympathetic, empathetic. And that's what I get from her, is that she truly cares about the people that she's trying to help. Now, I don't know what else I could say. This is what I can't really sum it up here. We're going to sum it up by talking to her. I wanted to unpack my own personal experience with her, invite a few others to talk about their experience with her, so that we could more fully and really get deep with her to try to explore her abilities, her, you know, philosophies. You know, the one problem that I do have, though, is, like I said, pick a lane. Like, she talks about aliens. She says she talks to aliens. She talks to angels. She talks to demons. She told me she talked to, like, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or something like that. And it's like too much. It's too much to unpack with her. And I knew, like, one show's not going to do it. And I mean, we could do whole shows just on some of the videos that she posts. You know, she'll have a video talking about, you know, connecting to God. And she'll have, the next video will be like talking about aliens. And the next video will be how to talk to angels. And it's so much to unpack with her. And again, I was impressed with her biblical knowledge, and I didn't get the kook vibe from her, because you guys will see when we have her on the show, she's incredible. She speaks. She's incredibly well spoken. I forgot to ask her about her education, or if she had some kind. I'm sure that she's had more than just a bachelor's degree in college. And if not, she is incredibly a self-learned person to be able to speak so well, have such a knowledge of the Bible, esoteric subjects. She's just like a walking fountain of knowledge on esoteric subjects and the Bible, you know. And you know, somebody, I want to address this too. Somebody mentioned that you know, Moore was enamored with her. It was obvious that he was, you know, googly-eyed at her and interested in her. And she's faced a lot of criticism about her appearance, which I think is a huge problem, because this is the world we live in, that you could be attacked for being fat or ugly, but you can equally be attacked for being thin and, you know, beautiful. The girl is, I don't know. Yeah, most men would say she's very attractive. So, you know, And I've heard her attacked for being the hot girl in ufology or for being the hot new age girl. And I think that's really wrong. If we're going to attack somebody for, if we can't attack somebody for being ugly, we probably shouldn't attack somebody for being attractive. And, you know, God bless her. If she's using that to her advantage, everybody uses what they were given by God. And if she was given, look, I'm very attractive. Listen, I've heard others talk about this. There's a reason that some people do very well in this field, like Teal Swan. Do you think Teal Swan's doing well because she's such a great researcher and has such great information to offer people? No, it's because she's super hot. Like, that's the reality of the world we live in. Wacky avians. Okay, Great White Brotherhood and the Tall White Pleiadians aren't the same as wacky avians and Draco reptilians. Lee Veltman, are you an extraterrestrial racist? Are you saying that one is better than the other? Solar Marshall, Kevin Moore is not who he claimed to be. Kevin turned out to be a big disappointment. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of that going around, Solar Marshall. I don't know him, never met him, never spoke to him. You know, I probably would like to. We're into a lot of the same subjects, but I don't know what's going on with him or that DVD or what is it, documentary that he's supposed to have produced, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or a couple of years ago now. But I'm one person that, having produced things, knows that it's difficult to finish projects. Super V Fun Cat, I've never heard anyone attack her for being smoking hot. I have. I got some emails today, in fact. You know that she's only popular because she's pretty. Okay, she's popular because she's pretty. We're in high school again. But, you know, I just wanted to mention the appearance thing because I've heard a few people, and then she mentioned it to me that, like, even Eric and some of those guys were like, oh, you can't take her seriously. Eric, before he met her, was kind of like, hey, she's just this, you know, hot new age girl. You can't really take her seriously. And then he met her and he felt differently. And I think that some of us might feel differently after I get to talk more to her and I bring you guys more of her. Super, she is cute. Folks want to think people believe her for this. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Do you guys think that more attractive people garner more trust than an ugly person? Maybe. I mean, it depends, right? I remember seeing this with Michael Horn and being like, no, Steve, no. What are you talking about, Brandon? Him coming back to the show? I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. We're going to get back on that Billy Meyer crazy train. And we're going to see Michael Horn, for those that don't know, is Billy Meyer's media representative. And he's been on my radio show previously. And there was this big battle. You know, he freaked out because I gotcha'd him that his main source was a convicted child molester. So his main source for proof of why the Billy Meyer story was true was investigator Wendell Stevens, who turned out to be a convicted child molester. And boy, he did not like me asking him about his child molesting source. So that turned into a huge battle. He went away. You know, I said, I'm not going to deal with him anymore. He wants to come back now because he wants to come back, number one, so I can apologize to him. And number two, so that he could prove to everyone and me that Billy Meyer predicted everything that's happening in 2020, and he did it 10 or 20 years ago. I may have him come back. We'll go back down that crazy hole. I think it's harder to be taken seriously if you're sexy, not pretty, but sexy is a challenge. Super V Fun Cat. It's hard to be taken seriously if you're sexy? Well, maybe... I don't know if does that apply to men and women? Like, what if a man is really sexy? Is he taken seriously? I think if a woman is considered sexy, she's not valued for other, you know, attributes or other skills she may have. She's just looked at, oh, she's pretty. That's her thing, being pretty. And I think some of that may be going on with this girl. Pretty handsome people do get more trust. But having high sex appeal is a huge challenge. People hate super sexy people. I don't listen, I don't want to get divorced over commenting on how super sexy or pretty or whatever I think this girl is. I'll say I think she's attractive, and I think most men would agree with me that she's very attractive. And maybe a lot of women, too, who are into women, would agree with me. Yeah, she's got a, maybe it's some of her social media presence, too, because she's got a lot of those, like model quality selfies and things like that. But God bless her. You got to market yourself. Steven told me Bob Lazar is a fraud. I still believe in Bob Lazar, though, not because I think he is telling the truth, but because it is fun to believe him. Reemsey, I grew up with that story. It's probably my all-time favorite UFO story. And we have Solar Marshall here, who has been the expert in the Bob Lazar case for years and years and years. It is fun to believe that it may be true. But Reemsey, you talk to Solar Marshall. There's a guy with airplanes that was just allowed to fly over that Papoose Lake and take pictures, and there is nothing there. There is no S4. So there's more evidence that Bob Lazar is a fraud. I need my Uno Botanium. I think it's Lazarium or something else, not Uno Botanium. And we're talking about that element. Bob Lazar 100% more believable. So the context, you don't believe this girl. I get that. C.W. Channer has to deal a lot with this sex appeal issue because it detracts from the message. Yeah, and I always joke that I had a face for radio, so I don't know what I'm doing on a video camera because, man, I was very apprehensive about this. I think I preferred being just a microphone. Yeah, Lee Veltman, I'd like to have you too. You got to come and talk about QAnon with me because I don't know very much about QAnon. A problem. So if they're hot, sexy, or pretty, they get a pass. What if we had standards those peers had to live up to regardless of looks? Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have made that point. I just mean that, like, she got a lot of flack, like, oh, she's only popular. Maybe it's jealousy. She's only popular because she's pretty and this and that. I'm putting my hands in my pockets for a little bit. I can't trust myself not to be reactive, but I am listening. Daniel, I don't know what you're doing over there, but I don't think I want to know. Brandon Young, God bless you, Cambian. Thank you, Brandon Young. I'm glad to see you here again. And the context, shout out to the context and Daniel. He has this Cosmic Con series, and he just did one on Peter Slattery, who's one of my favorites because this guy puts out a picture of the aliens that he talks to, and there's like the Avatar aliens are on there, ET's on there, and I think the Silver Surfer is on there. William Pixley, I'm glad I tuned in tonight. Props, love everyone here. Stay safe, folks. Good, and I'm just gonna check in real quick with the Facebook is we have some comments from George, which I don't think made it to the live chat. We have George Rizenall, who says, love the cabin, Steven. Nice cabin, Steven. And is this still live? Yes, we are still here, George. I think the way that this system is supposed to work is that the Facebook comments are supposed to come into my live chat here in my software, and I'm supposed to be able to reply to both. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Is this still live? Yeah. Here we go. It is here. It is coming through. Okay. We have Jasmine Emmerich. I've never seen you and Jiggy at the same place and same time. That may be a whole nother conspiracy theory. Oh, and that reminds me, people send me conspiracy theories all the time. I put something on my Twitter that everybody should try. You type in any 3-digit number and new cases into Google. It's kind of trippy. But later I thought about it, and with the thousands of cases or thousands of stories being written, it kind of makes sense that would happen. But that's not what's happening here. Somebody specifically tried to manipulate the Google search algorithms. You'll see what I mean. Type in any 3-digit number into Google and new cases. Like 333 new cases, 111 new cases, 110 new cases. Any 3-digit number between 0 and 1,000, or 0 and 999, and you'll get a strange thing happening. And I don't know how that happened. We're going a little long here, folks. I honestly expected this show to be an hour, but we had Eric call in and a few other things. So, out of mind, I noticed a ton of comments not in chat. I thought that was odd. Yeah, I'm not seeing those comments. I don't think that you guys can see the Facebook comments unless I find them in my chat here in my software and put them up on the screen. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to identify, to be sure, like, oh, okay, this is a Facebook comment, and make sure I put them all up so that you guys can see. It looks like Facebook, we only had like 7 people watching, but that's 7 more people than usual. So I'll take that. I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, with new cases. I don't see any Facebook comments. Yeah, you won't see the Facebook comments if you're just in the YouTube live chat. Like I said, I have to put them up on the screen here so you can see them. I see them all in my comments section here in my software. It's Facebook comments. That explains it. Yeah, maybe that does explain it. Okay. I don't know if anybody wants to call in, but I'm willing to keep going. And also, I just want to mention that I'd like to produce more content. And we have Rachel Hoffman coming up from Paranormal Expeditions, who's I've been kind of following her on Facebook and her adventures. She runs around the whole country. If she hears about a haunted house, she's got this bus now that she lives in, and she just goes to these haunted houses and films and takes pictures, and she does all the ghost hunting stuff. We're going to be talking to her next week. We're trying to work out the date. And also, I think tomorrow night I might do an Ask Me Anything, because I've never done that, and that would be something kind of fun to do. Let me get back to the live comment chat here. Oh, let's get back to the... We're going to play the live call-in number. The live call-in number, you can call in and just like Eric did and be a part of the show. I don't know if anybody wants to do that, but we're going to play that real quickly, and you guys can call in on our live call-in line and come right on the show. So we'll play that now. If after I play this bumper, if nobody's called in, then we'll just try to wrap things up. We'll be right back, folks. So there we go, folks. Anybody is free to call in. You can talk about this subject that we had tonight or any other subject if you want to talk about your paranormal experience. I'm kind of running out of steam here, but I'm willing to stay if somebody wants to call in. I've got the line here open. Yeah, Lee, I am. Here's Lee. Here's what happened. I am a big supporter of free software, so I don't, and I mean free as in freedom, not free as in the cost. I pay for some free software that I like. I contribute to GIMP and a few other things. I don't like pay by the month software. I think I consider it software slavery. However, in this circumstance, I tried working with OBS for a couple of months and I could get it to do half the things that I wanted, but not all the things that I wanted. It was very flashy. I could get it to look great with these overlays and these animated graphics, but I couldn't figure out getting the live chat up on the screen, and I couldn't figure out many things, and I went down all these rabbit holes. Good stream. Jasmine Emmerich says, good stream, Steve. Community needs someone who explores different avenues. People can make up their own minds. Of course, I don't understand how people reason things sometimes. Yeah, I want to try to be a little less skeptical. And I knew, like somebody, like Solar Marshall, leave it to him. He's like, what happened? Why are you being nice to these nuts, right? Like, we haven't determined that she's, oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention. I didn't get the kooky vibe. She's just too lucid, present, and well-spoken to be considered just a loon, because honestly, most of the time when I encounter somebody that tells me they talk to angels or aliens, that they have some kind of mental issue. So I was paying attention to see if I could figure out that she's got signs of, you know, some kind of mental illness that may be causing her belief in her, what is essentially superpowers. I mean, essentially, we've got a girl here who claims that she's making a lot of claims, but that she's got superpowers may be one of them. You know, these are not small claims, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Honestly, like I said it several times, I was floored, especially with my background in mentalism and conjuring or the art of magic tricks, that she was able to get a physical response out of me over the phone, and I'm skeptical. Oh, Brandon Young, you called. I did not get your call, Brandon. If you want to try again real fast. I don't know, Brandon. Every time you say you're going to call, and I didn't get the call. I'm in the phone, the app's there, you know, like, I don't know what happened. You could try again or what, because the line's open, and, you know, Eric called in earlier, so I know that it's working. Otherwise, we're just going to wrap things up. Ripsy says, I talk to angels all the time, but I'm crazy. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There we go. Why is this not working? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Oh, it dropped the call. Brandon, try again if you want. Sorry about that. She sounds smooth. Again, like everyone else, she needs to show proof. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for from her. How does she propose to prove her claims? Well, Daniel, if you watched the earlier part of the show, I explained that she told me that she was going to do certain things and that I would feel physical effects of it, like she would speed up my heart. And then, honestly, she did. I'm telling you, I felt my heart speed up. Here we go. Let's try this again. Hello.
To accept, press 1.
Oh, there we go. Hello, this is Steven, and you're calling Truthseekers. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Oh, yeah, this is Dean calling from St. Petersburg, Florida.
Great. Is it Dean, did you say?
Yeah, I go by Satching. My YouTube name is Sagittariusly Speaking.
Okay. And what did you have a question or comment?
No, a little bit of both, maybe. First of all, I've only really been following you or watching, or listening to you for about maybe 3 or 4 months now. But I don't know. I really resonate well with what you're putting out. So I've really enjoyed some of your content. I'm excited for you having your new Truthseeker show. I want to show support. I follow you on Twitter as well.
Okay, great.
And,
yeah, thank you.
I do have an interesting tale I was going to tell if you want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. That's what the call-in line is for everybody to be a little more interactive, and we want our audience to participate. So by all means, let's hear it.
All right, let's see here. How do I start? Okay, this was probably back around 2001, 2002, in that time frame. Maybe a little, now that I'm thinking about it, probably a couple years after that, around 2004, 2005, let's do that. And
okay.
I worked for a railroad, and at the time I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we had a yard, a train yard that was in northern Kentucky, just south of the Queens Gate Yard in Cincinnati. And we called it DeCourcy. And it was... And not far up the hill from there was an establishment, a bar you may or may not have heard of it before, called Bobby Mackey's. Are you familiar with that place?
No, I don't think I've heard of that.
Okay, well, it's known in some circles for being a haunted establishment. It has a long history of paranormal occurrences. And I had heard about it growing up in the area. I knew some of the lore around it, but I was still rather young at the time. I was in my early 20s, so I really hadn't, gotten around, especially that far south of Cincinnati. So I'd never actually been there, experienced anything, But nonetheless, I got put on a train job where they were doing construction on the train line, and my job was basically just to sit there in my car with a radio and monitor the construction crews, and occasionally they would move out of the way to let a train pass. So I eventually, meandered my way out of the car and started walked over to visit with the construction crew and see what was going on, and just talk to the guys or whatever. And as I started hanging out over there, because they were working underground. The guys were going down in a hole under the ground. I guess they were working on pipes or something underground, some type of underground thing they were doing. I don't even really know what the job was, but the construction job. But every so often I would get a call, and they would have to move out of the way. I let a train crawl past and whatnot. So I got to talking to the guys, and they started to tell me the history of the Bobby Mackey's establishment, and that it was well known for being haunted. And apparently back in the bootlegging days, they had an underground tunnel that went from the bar slash hotel to the river there, right next to where we were. And they would literally go hide out on a boat whenever the police would show up, so that I guess they wouldn't get caught with their bootlegging or whatever. Their illegal activities. Let's just put it that way. And they proceeded to tell me about all the different people that had died in there, and that the foreman on the job was really making light of it. Like he was, how do I explain it? Like he was making fun of the establishment, like it wasn't real, like just it's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and he was really he just didn't have any respect for the nostalgia of the place. And it really came off as being pompous and arrogant. Even to me, he didn't really have a dog in the fight one way or the other. I just thought he had a certain, I don't know. It was just it was like he didn't, he was just had a real arrogance about him, okay, for lack of a better way of describing it. But the stories he was telling and the whole feeling of the energy that I was feeling, from the guys coming up out of there, you could tell that they were really scared and nervous about being on this job. and they thought that he was being kind of an asshole. Okay, so I got the job a second day, and I came back, and that same guy was there, and I just kind of tried to avoid him again. And the guys were wanting to come up more and more often because they were kind of getting freaked out down under there. I guess that if you actually had to go down in that tunnel, it was kind of a creepy place to be. And he was telling them how stupid they were for being so nervous about being down there, that there's nothing to it. It's all fake mumbo jumbo, blah, blah, blah. And then I got assigned that job the third day in a row. And I showed up early. I actually stopped and got a breakfast sandwich or something like that. And I was sitting there waiting on everybody to pull up. And I noticed that the foreman wasn't there when it got close to, I don't know, about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I asked one of the other guys working on the job, I said, what happened to your foreman? And he's like, oh, you didn't hear? I'm like, no, what are you guys talking about? You know, I mean, they were all being real hush-hush about it. And finally, one of them pulled me to the side and said after his shift yesterday, when he left to get back on the expressway and go home, he accidentally went on the exit ramp for the expressway when it was actually the exit ramp, and he had a head-on collision just like a mile and a half down the road. And needless to say, I was really freaked out by that. And ever since then, and the energy that I just felt the whole time I was there, I knew there was something really going on. And I was really a big skeptic myself, but into like hauntings and things of that nature. And that right there, ever since I experienced that, and I know that happened to him, granted it could have just been a coincidence, but I really feel like that he upset some of those spirits, and they had it out for him. That's what I really believe in my gut.
Wow, yeah, we're getting comments like Reemsey says, keep away from Bobby Mackey's. It is a country music nightclub. It is an awful place. People die there. They see ghosts. They get possessed by demons. Something bad is there.
Yeah, I'm really, the audio is really bad. Your distorted. It's hard for me to understand what you're saying.
Okay, I'm sorry. Somebody in the chat said that there are demons there. It's an awful place. Bobby Mackey's.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've seen, since then I've seen like other television specials or camera crews and other paranormal researchers that went there to research it. And
well, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I'm going to check. I'm going to look into it.
I was a skeptic, and it would have took a lot to convince me, and I left that job 100% convinced, and I never took that job the rest of the time that I worked there. I mean, it was only probably going on for another 7 to 10 days, but I did not want to go back.
Wow, well, thanks for letting me know about it. I appreciate it. We're going to wrap things up now. Yeah. I appreciate your call, and maybe I could do some research into that place. It sounds like my kind of place to look into.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's still open. So, yeah. Well, yeah, no problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. You have a good night. Okay, folks. Let me turn that off there. And we have there's a book about Bobby Mackey's called Hell's Gate. I will look into that. In the Cabin too. Yes, Casey, welcome. This is the first broadcast of my show from the cabin. And I can't tell you how happy I am that I think most everything worked, and that's a miracle because I got here late and then I suddenly realized that I had like 40 minutes to like unload the car and put, I got to put everything away, and like I didn't have any of this set up. So there's like wires and cables and laptops laying around, and hopefully I'll get a more permanent setup for when I'm doing shows here. But the fact that it worked is a minor miracle because I'm in the middle of nowhere in the woods in Pennsylvania here. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. Let me get my outro sort of thing. Oh, back to the comments. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining me, especially for this. This is like a special show for me because I've been trying to build this, build this cabin, and I was hoping that we could get internet and I could, do more things here because, lately I've been here 3-4 days a week, and that kills the rest of my week for doing streams and things like that. If we don't get, you know, if we don't get, if we, if I don't, if I can't stream here, I'm not going to be able to produce much, because at home, you know, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but here I can really focus a lot better. So I'm really looking forward to that. So coming up on our show, we have Rachel Hoffman from Paranormal Expeditions. We're going to have our interview and continue. We're going to do a part 2 here on the strange case of Sarah Adams. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. Until next time, folks, my name is Steven Cambian, reminding you that sometimes the proof is difficult to find, but it's still worth looking for. Good night, folks.